Welcome to Mojo Travels, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the things we miss and the things we don't miss about traveling in the 1990s.
Are you a fan of our videos? Be sure to subscribe to Mojo Travels and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.
Let us know in the comments which things you're happy have changed and which you want to come back. Don't miss. Difficulty getting around. Though reading a map can still be a useful skill, you'd be lying if you said the existence of GPS doesn't make your life a whole lot easier. Everybody has a phone, and most phones today will have access to map apps, the best way to get around in a foreign country in the modern age. In the 90s, very few people had cell phones, and those who did definitely didn't have access to accurate GPS tracking to get around. This obviously made it a lot easier to go to a different country and have absolutely no idea where anything was. It's still a good idea to learn how to read a paper map just in case though. Miss. Bringing water on planes. Since 2006, the US has had strong restrictions on the amount of fluids passengers can take on planes, with many other countries following suit. You're only allowed, at most, 3.4 ounces of liquid that fits into a 1-quart bag, all as a security measure. Though we understand that airports have very good reasons to implement these rules, it's still incredibly frustrating as a passenger today to have to ensure you don't have too much water in your bag. Otherwise, you'll be unpacking and repacking it in the middle of the airport, or while trying to board your flight. It doesn't help that airplane tap water can be notoriously unsanitary either. Don't miss. Payphones. Public phones still exist all over, but they're very rarely used. Not only do lots of people not carry change anymore, but what are the chances you have any of your friends and family's numbers memorized to call? As well as that, making a long distance or international call from a payphone definitely won't be cheap, even if you call collect. Your family will still have to pick up that bill and might not be too happy about it. That's why we like not having to scramble to find payphones and talk to foreign operators anymore. Though it's still not cheap to use a cell phone while in a different country, it's a whole lot better than it used to be. Miss. No data charges. Speaking of it not being cheap to use cell phones abroad, there's one big reason for that: data roaming. While in your home country, you might have a package with a huge amount of mobile data available. If you cross a border, you'll likely be paying a premium for the privilege of getting online remotely. This means that you'll probably spend a lot of your vacation with data turned off completely, trying to find public Wi-Fi to use if you need to get online for any reason. In the 90s, you probably didn't have a device you needed to connect to the internet at all, since you wouldn't be taking your home computer on vacation. Don't miss. No online bookings. Today, you can book an entire vacation from the comfort of your own home in just a few hours. Everything from flights to hotels to your itinerary. Before internet access was widespread and necessary, you would have to go into a travel agency and you'd be stuck with their packages. You might even have to visit numerous ones to try and find the best deal. That, or you could go it alone and painstakingly try to call airports to book flights and call hotels in different countries to get rooms. The internet has made traveling both far easier and cheaper, since you can now compare all your options. Miss. Fewer tourists. Vacations used to be a lot more expensive, especially the further away you were going, and in general, there were just fewer people to fight with for hotels, flights, and attractions. It's always nicer to go on vacation somewhere that's less crowded, but this is becoming increasingly difficult in the 21st century. Not only is it plain frustrating, but over-tourism is becoming an issue too. Many areas and destinations are damaged by huge numbers of tourists and the constant construction of new hotels. Over-tourism also makes it difficult for the people who live in popular destinations who might struggle to go about their daily lives. Don't miss. Camera film. Though bulky, analog cameras are still popular with photographers and amateurs alike. It used to be the case that you'd have to deal with camera film whether you wanted to or not. It was common that you'd buy a handful of disposable cameras for your vacation, which would only have a finite amount of film and no way to see if your photos were good until after you paid to have them developed. Today, we've all got phones with cameras, and basic digital cameras and camcorders are pretty cheap anyway, so you're no longer beholden to having to develop every photo you take. Miss. Being off-grid. Though the internet makes traveling a lot easier, sometimes it's nice to put it all away and stop trying to be connected to everybody 24/7. That was one great thing about traveling in the 90s and earlier. You could totally immerse yourself in your destination without constantly having to check in with home. Sure, you might make a long distance call or send a postcard, but otherwise, you weren't worrying about keeping everyone updated or trying to look good on social media. You want your vacation to be a time to switch off, not keep yourself tethered to everything you're trying to get away from. Don't miss. Travelers checks. These were one way to spend money in a foreign country without having to worry about exchanging physical cash, something which can be expensive, time-consuming, and risky. But though travelers' checks had a lot of benefits, they've almost completely disappeared in the 21st century, and you may actually struggle to find a place to accept them if you decide to make them your primary form of foreign currency. Since the rise of credit cards and ATMs, though you can get charged fees for making transactions abroad, travelers' checks have faded into obscurity, and we couldn't be happier about it. Miss longer vacations. Particularly in the US, it's now extremely difficult to take a lot of time off to go on a lavish vacation. Once, when incomes were higher and living costs were lower, it was a lot easier to get away, but today it's difficult for most people to imagine vacationing for longer than a weekend. In fact, only half of Americans take summer vacations, and even if you have vacation days, you might struggle to justify the expense. Even pre-pandemic, in countries around the world that do have lots of mandated vacation days, people still often go off on jaunts for shorter periods, even in the context of summertime off.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Mojo Travels, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.